The skills that you believe are quite prevalent in business that are currently lacking in Parliament? You mentioned that Parliament necessarily has been below.
Well, I think actual real life experience on the ground, knowing what, because empathy is a lot easier if you've actually been there. You can empathise to a certain extent, but I think we have too many career politicians that have literally gone through the educational system straight into politics. They've not worked real jobs, they've not had to work at the coalface of a small business and know what it's really like to pull long hours and worry every day about whether you're going to make payroll at the end of the month, things like that. And I think that's the pragmatism side of it, the problem-solving approach, evidence-led approach, and all the business planning, project management, metrics, all of that comes in really useful when you're tackling problems. The politicians that we see at the moment, the descent into complete chaos. You could never run a business like this.
No.
You know, and in business you have to work with people who you don't agree with politically.
Yeah.
You can't just have all the customers that like you. You have to find common ground. You have to think, I know it's a very corny phrase, but you have to think win-win as much as possible, whereas politics seems very win-lose. It's like no one is prepared to give up their stance to compromise, and it needs more of that pragmatic approach, especially with the issues we're facing now, whether it's Brexit, whether the bigger issue arguably climate change. That's not something that a single party can solve. It needs cross-party consensus.
There are some pretty tangible issues which need solving imminently.
Yes.
How would you approach those? Because there'll be a vote on Brexit, there'll be a budget, there'll be huge issues, and of course in the big picture there are things like climate change. Yeah. How would you approach those with the experience you've accrued over
Well, absolutely, and I believe that we have to hold the opposition, no, the government to account, not the opposition. Wishful thinking that he'd be the opposition, but let's assume the hypotheticals that you're talking about. Let's assume that happens. I believe that yes, we need to hold them to account and make sure that the deal, if we end up going Brexit, I still hold out hope that we won't be leaving the EU. I still hold out that hope, and at the very least I'd want to try and get a people's vote on the deal out of him. But say he's got a majority, let's really go. I mean, most politicians would never entertain these hypotheticals, but I'm just starting out as a politician, so I can have a bit of latitude. I would say we'd have to work as hard as we could with the majority party to try and moderate as much as possible, get the best deal possible for the UK. I hate to say that because it makes me feel almost dirty to say, envisaging that, because I'm still holding on to the hope that we won't leave, and we can resolve that through a people's vote. But you have to resolve things. You have to work with people. And certain issues like you mentioned climate change, because there's little point us arguing about which social club our country's member of if London's 10 metres underwater. You know, that needs urgent attention, and I think that has to be done by cross-party. And I work with lots of people who hold very different views to me on Brexit. I invested in people who hold very different views to me on Brexit. Only a handful of them, I have to say. And does it stop me helping them anymore because they're different to me? No. I want what's best for their company, I want what's best for them, and I believe we have to work closely to resolve it. In this hypothetical situation.
Of course.
Caveat.